Good morning to you. Staff, for the first time since March of 2020, regular recreation programming is returning to the city. Registration for fall rec programs and December holiday programs opens tomorrow at 7 a.m. for Etobicoke, York and Scarborough, and on Tuesday for North York, Toronto and East York. You can register online or by phone. Proof of vaccination is required for eligible residents 12 and older for many of the programs, including those held in fitness centers, event spaces, and theaters. Other public health measures, including masking, physical distancing, and capacity restrictions, continue. A live look for you now at Norseman Community Centre in Etobicoke, one of many places offering rec programs this fall. So what should residents know before signing up tomorrow? At 7, a city representative joins us to highlight some key information. We're expecting to learn more about the next steps in renaming Dundas Street. City officials will provide an update on the recognition review project, including next steps for renaming the street at 9:30 this morning. Mayor John Tory will also be in attendance. The decision to rename the street and other facilities that bear its name comes after a petition was launched by a Toronto man in June of 2020 in the wake of the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. The well-known street is named after Henry Dundas, who delayed Britain's abolishment of slavery. Ryerson University also undergoing a name change, and more could be on the way. The Ontario Human Rights Commission is now working on a policy statement that will shape how it responds to names, words, and images that are offensive and derogatory to Indigenous and racialized communities. The organization says policies need to be in place as calls continue to rename buildings, roads, and institutions that honor certain historical figures. Ryerson University is named after Egerton Ryerson, who played a key role in the country's residential school system. To the U.S. now, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted for the murder of George Floyd says he plans to appeal his conviction. Derek Chovin was convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's 2020 death. He was sentenced to 22 and a half years. Chovin says he will appeal that conviction and sentence on 14 grounds, including saying the judge abused his discretion when he denied requests to postpone the trial or grant a new one. And to the streets now. A pedestrian is in a trauma center with serious, possibly life-threatening injuries after he was struck in Mississauga. It happened in the area of Dundas and Mavis just after 10 o'clock last night. Peel police say the driver involved remained on the scene. The victim reportedly received multiple fractures. Officers continue to investigate. No word yet if charges are expected. Roads in the area have now reopened. And a man in his 30s has suffered non-life-threatening injuries after being struck by a vehicle overnight in the city's downtown core. This happened around 1:40 at Dundas and Beverly, which is east of Spadina. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene. Police say it appears the victim may have been intoxicated and not crossing at a crosswalk when the collision occurred. Starting next month, anyone who wants to get inside Queen's Park, including elected officials, must be vaccinated or provide a negative COVID-19 test. That new policy begins on October 4th. Most elected representatives at the Ontario legislature are fully immunized, but there are 2 MPPs who haven't had their shot. Chatham-Kent Leamington MPP Rick Nichols was removed from the Progressive Conservative Caucus for refusing to get vaccinated. Scarborough Centre's Christina Mittis has been allowed to stay in caucus because of a medical exemption. Workers at a major grocery chain in Ontario could be going on strike by the end of the month. Today and tomorrow, employees at Food Basics will be warning customers about the potential labor disruption. Unifor, the union that represents the grocery workers, says both they and the company are far apart on critical issues like wages, benefits, and sick leave. Talks are scheduled to resume on Monday with a strike deadline set for Wednesday, September 29th. Happening this afternoon, youth and adult allies across Toronto will be going on strike to demand that politicians do more to help fight climate change. We'll take you live outside Queen's Park now, where the rally begins at 12:30, followed by a march at 1 p.m. The demonstration will also focus on other issues, including adding climate justice to Ontario's education curriculum and encampment evictions. Similar rallies will happen across the globe today as part of the Fridays for Future school strike movement, which started in August 2018. And just ahead, remember when people were binge buying toilet paper at the start of the pandemic? Now, Costco is cracking down to make sure that doesn't happen again. Mike Apple tells us more with Biz in Business. That's next.